Hey everybody, I just thought I'd put another video up here showing how to do some maintenance on some engines, especially the old conventional engines. They need quite a bit of maintenance. Well, not a lot of maintenance, but they need some to keep them running good. But on some engines like this, you may only have like one screw right there, and then it's just held on the other side by these two little prongs that hold them in. Some other engines, I know, like the older F3s, they were on the bottom of the engine, like all around the sides. Most of them were in the corners here. But this one, there's only one. I already loosened it up so I can just show you. Take it off. Alright, so when you take these off, like this one, you lift that up and you just slide it out a little bit, and it'll come out, pop off. So, under here, by the way, this is my workbench, it's not on my display. Just have some couple things here to help me fix some engines. Another thing, like I said too, that works really great for cleaning track is this stuff. Where I got it, this is what they had. I mean, there's other things that are liquid like this, but all you do is you let's see if I can pop the top off this. Yep. Okay. You pop the top off, and then there's another little retainer on here, and all you do is just squeeze a little bit of this on like spread it all around on a cotton cloth, or anything cotton really will work. I use just like a cotton handkerchief, like an old one. That worked great. And all you do is you don't need to rub it on your tracks, but you just take it and just apply a thin layer to it, and it actually helps a whole lot make it nice and clean, takes all the grime off of it, and also makes it connect better, makes it conduct better. So that was really a good investment. And some of the other things I got here, like what is this? This is Labelle. It's oil. It's very lightweight oil. It's like almost near water, but it is an oil. And this is what I use for like when you're down here, if you can see it. There's a little oil wick right there, and all you do is you take this cap off, like what I use this needle, and on the end of it you just stick one little drop right there, and then same thing at the bottom here. You put one little drop right in the oil thing right there, right in the little hole there, and that lubricates the bottom of the shaft. But that's pretty much lubricating it. You don't need to lubricate it. Another thing that people get wrong too is they lubricate the brushes here, these little carbon slugs, and you don't want to do that. Whatever you do, you don't want to put oil on those, or else it will not run, or if it does run, it'll run very roughly. So you don't want to do that. But what you do for like cleaning these off, all you do is take these screws off here. I'll show you how you take them off. So once you take that screw off, you can just set it down to the side. I usually just set them out like one there, and then I'll put the other one here so I know, where they went to. But let's take this one off. And once you take those off, it's like I said, I just put them right next to each other there. Once you take these off, don't forget on this one over here there's a little ground on it. You just want to slide that over. Just don't break the wire. You don't want to kink it either. You can bend it a little bit, but just get it out of the way. But like I said, this just stays on there like so, just by these springs that hold the brushes down. So what you do is you can slide this off, and once you slide that off, you have your carbon brushes right there and there. Like these, actually they're not too bad because I just did these a little while ago, but you can see some of them, they get mocked up a little bit. Actually, let me see if I can zoom in. But they get gunked up and stuff, and all I found you can take is just an eraser, just a pencil eraser, and they'll work really fine. You just rub it a little bit, not too hard. Just rub a little bit until it actually almost shines a little bit when you do it. And you can also use some Sometimes it works, sometimes it may not work. Just very, very fine grit sandpaper, and that'll work too on there. But yeah, just be careful again. You don't want to kink this wire down there either. That hooks it up to the brushes. It's from this coil down here. And then the same thing on here. You have the armature. This is what spins, and down there it connects to the gearbox. So you don't want to really screw too much with that. The only thing you want to do is actually, sorry about that, is like sometimes if they've been sitting for a while, the top part of this is a commutator, this little copper piece going all the way around this. And what happens is that gets all gunked up. Like, see some spots there it's almost caked on, which I can't get off. But you don't need all that off. So as long as most of it is clean as you can get it, then generally that's enough to enough cleaning. But all you do, like I said with this too, is you just take, you don't use sandpaper on this. Don't excuse me. Don't use sandpaper on these, because you'll actually ruin them. Those are copper. Those are not carbon slugs like these. These you can replace very easily, and they don't cost anything at all. Like, I think I cost, well, I bought a couple other things, and the total bill was like $1 or so. So within that, these are not very expensive at all. These are easy to replace if you screw those up. This, no, because then you got to find another armature, and that's not fun. The only good thing is if you did, most of the motors for these engines are all the same. Some are different sizes, but most of the time all the armatures and motors are the same, so you won't have too much trouble finding it. It's just that it may cost you a little bit more having to replace that. But all you do is take a little eraser, just like I said, a pencil eraser, and you just rub it. Not too hard, but you know, you can sort of judge how hard you need to in order to get all the carbon off. But like I said, once you get it nice and clean, it shines like that. Hard to get it shining, but and now it runs actually very great. So, and all you do afterwards, when you're done cleaning all that, you can just let me see here. Let me see if I can sort of put this there. And sometimes you have to be really careful too, because you got to line the armature back up, so that way it'll go in through the hole on the top here. And I'm trying to do this with one hand here, and it's not really working too great for me. Alright, let me see where this is going here. Like, sometimes you can look in there and it'll help. Let me just see if I can get it in here. Oh man, it can be a pain sometimes trying to get it in, trying to fit it back together. Most of the time you shouldn't have it. There we go. And like it does, when you just line it up in there, it'll just slide right down. You don't need to really push it or give it any force, because it'll slide right back down. But after you do that, then what you do, take your screws, and then like with this, stick that in there. Make sure you have that plate still there. Line it up, or generally line it up, and then just screw it back in. Now, like with these, you don't need to, you really don't need to tighten them down very tight. Actually, I need to kind of trying to work with one hand here. I'm trying to hold the camera in the other hand. Like, okay. There we go. You want to make sure that metal plate's on there. And you don't need to tighten it very tight. Like, what I'm doing is I'm just tighten it just ever so snugly, just finger tight, and then you do the same thing with this other one here. As soon as I get it in there. Alright. Oops. You don't want to strip them either. That's going to be a mess. But like I said, all you do, just do it just finger tight, and that'll be good for these. And then these things, excuse me, generally, once you do this, you clean the brushes. If it hasn't been used in a long, long time, like this engine has been sitting ever since the 60s, and hasn't been run, hasn't been maintained or anything. It didn't want to work when I first started. Now it runs great. But with like everything with the older engines, you need to maintain them. So after you do a general cleanup of them, you know, clean the brushes off. Like I replaced the brushes because mine were actually worn down. And like what you can do too is, if I kept them here, actually I have them in another tray over on my display because I was using some screws and stuff. But like if you have something like this at your home or in your workshop, you can buy them for cheap. It's a good thing to just kind of put things in like this. Over here I have an extra soldering tip. What do I have here? Some fuses. Like another thing too, when you do, it'd be wise to get an inline fuse, because some of the newer engines with the circuit boards in them, but they're still conventional, sometimes if you get a really big short out and it causes a lot of amperage to be put out, it could fry one of your boards, and that can be bad. So what you can do is you can buy an inline fuse at like Radio Shack or one of those electronic places for cheap. I bought mine for I think $5 or so. All is an inline fuse, and it takes like a Bussmann fuse or a glass fuse, and you just pop it in there. Like I use a, let me see here. What is it now? What is this? This is a, actually that's a 1 amp fuse. I don't want that. I think these are 25 amps. And let me see here. No, these are 15 amps. And generally 15 amps are usually sorry for that delay there, but usually 15 amps is good enough. Some people will go up to 20, 25 amps, but generally this is good enough. And I've only blown one actually entirely of putting these on here. Actually, it was with this engine. I was going around a turn and it actually drawed too much power on one of the, not one of these wheels, but one of the other cars came off the tracks, and it shorted it right out, and it was a big spark show. Just put it that way. It was not very amusing. I thought I actually damaged something, but actually I didn't. It was just a fuse that blew. But another thing too, you can, like, I put light bulbs in here, just various other things, like still have the Lionel lubricant, some excess wire, you know, just things like that you can just store in there. It's really helpful. But like I said, all this just is maintenance. Same thing with the E-unit. E-unit needs maintenance too, every once in a while. Generally the problems with these, if it's sticking, or if you try to switch the direction and it will only stay in like neutral, it won't go forward or reverse. Usually this is the culprit in here. Actually, I don't know if you can see it. You can sort of see there's a drum inside there, that copper that's shining. There's a drum, and there's copper contacts. That's what you're seeing on the drum there. And what that does is, every time the engine turns on, or you turn on the power, the coil pulls up this plunger. And this plunger's right there. You can sort of see my finger moving it on the side here. But that plunger has a little claw on it, and the drum has got teeth on it. So every time you turn the engine on, this pulls the plunger up, and it rotates the drum. And there's a set of contacts down there, and whatever contacts touch the copper on the drum will tell it, it'll go over to the motor, tell it to go forward or reverse, or turn it off or neutral, and just keep the lights on. Well, in this case, like I said before, mine has got the lights, just because my grandfather kind of put them in there. But like these don't have lights, but some of the O-gauge typicals have lights on them. But like that's very easy to replace. All you do is just take a plier, and I found it easy. There's a pin, where is it? Right there. That holds them two together. You stick a pair of pliers in between there and separate them. You may have to use a little bit of force to pop them open, but after that, it's fine. Just carefully remove the contacts that are in there, because they are very fragile if you're going to try to do that. Sometimes, I mean, if you don't feel comfortable doing that, it may just be wise to take it to a place that services Lionel trains, or like I live in upstate New York, so I have a guy down in Marlboro which is not too far away, but it's about a 20-minute drive from where I live. And he fixes a whole bunch of locomotives. It's if you're ever up in this area, it's J&K Train Parts. They're down in Marlboro. They're right across from on Route 9W. They're right across from what is it? It's a John Deere dealer, and they also sell like Caterpillar stuff, excavating stuff. They're right across from there. You'll actually see if you up in this area, you'll actually see on their building it'll say Tops TVs, but it's not a TV place anymore. They bought that building, and now it's a hobby shop. So they sell parts for these. They do maintenance on them. And they're actually very reasonable. Actually, I mean, I learned to do most of mine myself. But like I said, if you're the person that doesn't want to try to fix something on here, like say this, do maintenance or do something like that, you can take it to him, and he'll fix it for you. He'll clean it. If no parts need to be replaced, he won't charge you for anything else. And typically, it's on average of $20 a day that they charge you for labor. But like that's not really that bad. It's $20 a day. So if it takes him not even a day to clean this without any parts, you might be looking at under $20. So like I said, if you want to do that, it's fine too. But and they have a ton of parts too. I go there. I got my brushes there. What else did I get there? I got a lot of other stuff there. I got some other parts like for the couplers. For my coal ramp out there, I had parts for some other cars I did, for some switches. I mean, I had a lot of parts, and they're very reasonable. I mean, most of their parts, every time I go in there, I come out with like a bag full of parts for only like $5, $6. So if you're ever up in this area, check them out. They could surely use the support for business, because they've helped me out a lot, you know, asking them for parts, and they've always had them, or if they didn't have them, they order them for you. So that's another nice thing to do. Another nice place up here is if you're up here in Hurley, it's off the thruway. It's near Ellenville. Well, actually, you'll see a sign that says for Ellenville, but it'll also say Hurley. And what you do is you follow it into the town. Once you get into town, you'll see like the Stewart's there. And then off to the, where is it, the right? No, left. Off to the left, you'll see Hurley Country Store. And one of my buddies there asked for Glenn. He's the guy who owns the store, and he's got some good stuff in there too. He's got track cars. He's starting to sell a lot of the old conventional stuff. He sells MTH stuff, the new DCS stuff, Atlas cars. I mean, he sells a whole bunch of stuff, and it's also a general store, so you can buy anything other than trains there too. So if you're ever up in this area, you can go visit them too. But for right at the moment, that's it for now. Once you get done with that, basically all you do is just put it back on. And like I said, you slide that underneath there so that those tabs are there. And you just come over here and push that down. And once you get over there, you just take this and just slightly tighten it. You don't have to like finger tight again. You don't need to tighten it too tight, just like that, so it's not going to move. And then you're pretty much set. Another thing that helps too for contacts is every once in a while, what will happen is if they've been here for a long time, along the wheels, on the wheel surfaces, they'll get all grimy and gunked up. Like say, where is it? Right here, you can see a little bit of a black line on that one. If you see some of those on your engine, see how this one's more shinier than that little black line right there? Because it's all gunked up right there. And stuff from the tracks. So that's why it helps clean the tracks too. But also too, most people don't realize this, but yes, you have these that pick up the power from the tracks, but also too, your wheels serve as the ground. So if your wheels aren't getting a good ground and it's just getting power, it still won't run because it's AC. So it might help just to clean these off. All I used was some some rubbing alcohol and basically just a Q-tip, and you just go around wiping a little bit of rubbing alcohol on these. And of course, I mean, you can spin the motor here and then just keep wiping it off, and it'll turn really nice and shiny like that. Another thing you do, just put a little bit of lubricant on the gears here. You can use a Lionel lubricant that I had in here. right there. That's meant for this stuff. It's not generally wise to use that lightweight oil because it'll just start spilling on the tracks, and then you're going to have short outs, and it's not going to get good contact, and you're just going to make yourself more troubles doing that. So if you just take a little dab of that Lionel lubricant, you just put like one in those in those two gears, a little dab in there, a little dab in those gears, and a little dab in the other ones, and just finger rotate them for a little bit. It'll start spreading out the grease or lubricant they call it over the gears. That way it'll be nice and lubricated, so work nice and good again, so to speak. But another thing, some engines have the you can disable the E units. That way it'll stay in one position. It'll stay in forward, stay in neutral, or stay in reverse. But like I said, if most of the time, if your E unit does that, check this first. If this is the culprit, like mine, it doesn't say which one is which. Just flip it the other way, and if it starts working again, then you know that that was on, that was activated. So that might be the culprit. That'll save you some time too, instead of taking the thing apart inside there. But if you try that and that doesn't work, then I would resort to the E unit inside. But like I said, just try that first, and that'll hopefully work. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Very basic, easy, simple stuff that you can do just to keep these things running really good again. And if you have any more questions on any things that you'd like me to in the future put on, or have any questions about this video or anything in general, you can hit the comments below, or subscribe if you want to hear more videos. But until then, I'll see you later.